Listen, most people live their entire lives wearing a mask, pretending to be something they're not. They build their personality on what they think others want to see, and then wonder why they feel empty. Here's the truth: you will never feel powerful, confident, or fulfilled until you stop playing that fake character and start owning who you really are. But here's the catch: becoming your true self isn't some feel-good slogan. It's a war against the lies you've told yourself, a war against the bad habits you've built over years, a war against the approval addiction that's been running your life. The reason you're not yourself right now is because you've been programmed by society, by friends, by weak opinions that don't matter. Breaking that programming takes work, and I'm not talking about self-care candles and journal prompts. I'm talking about daily discipline. Waking up early when you don't feel like it, saying no when it's uncomfortable, telling the truth even when it costs you. Your real self lives behind layers of lies, fears, and laziness. Every choice you make is either peeling those layers away or adding more on top. You want to meet your real self. Stop lying, stop chasing easy. Stop letting people who have quit on themselves give you advice. The moment you choose discipline over comfort, truth over approval, and purpose over pleasure, that's the moment you start becoming who you were always meant to be. And here's the payoff: when you live as your true self, people trust you, opportunities find you, and most importantly, you can look in the mirror and feel proud of the person staring back. So here's the challenge: drop the mask, put in the work, and meet the real you. Because the world doesn't need your watered-down version, it needs the strongest, most authentic version you've got. Stop wearing the mask. You know exactly which one I'm talking about. The one you put on every time you walk into a room, meet new people, or post something online. The mask that smiles when you're tired. The mask that agrees when you actually disagree. The mask that laughs at jokes you don't think are funny just to fit in. It's the mask you built to survive, to be liked, to get approval from people who don't even matter. And you've been wearing it for so long, you've started believing it's actually you. But deep down, you know it's not, because the real you feels restless. The real you gets buried every time you pretend, every time you say yes when you want to say no. Every time you hide your opinion because you're afraid of judgment. That fake version of you might get applause. It might get likes, it might even make life easier in the short term, but it will cost you something far greater: yourself. When you live for their approval, you trade your freedom for their acceptance. You become a puppet for someone else's expectations. You lose your voice, you lose your edge. You lose the raw, unfiltered version of yourself that's capable of so much more. And the crazy part: most people are so busy wearing their own masks, they don't even notice yours. So here you are, putting in all this effort to maintain an image that nobody really cares about. Why? Because somewhere along the way, you decided being accepted was more important than being authentic. And that's a lie you've got to kill. Authenticity starts when you rip that mask off. When you decide that your truth is worth more than their comfort. When you'd rather be disliked for who you are than liked for who you're not. When you stop contorting yourself to fit into a version of life that was never built for you. The real you is raw. The real you has opinions. The real you has dreams and standards and non-negotiables. The real you doesn't need constant approval to keep moving forward. But you'll never meet that version if you keep hiding behind the mask. The moment you choose to be unapologetically you, that's the moment life starts getting real. Becoming your true self is a war, not a walk in the park, not a peaceful journey filled with sunshine and compliments. A war, and the first enemy you face in this war is you. Your own mind will fight you harder than anyone else. It will whisper excuses. It will remind you of all the times you failed. It will try to convince you that you're not ready, not worthy, not capable. It will cling to the comfort of your old habits because change feels like death to the part of you that's been in control for years. And every time you push forward, it will throw doubt in your face. That's the first front of the battle, the war against yourself. But the second front is even trickier. It's the resistance from others. People who have known you as one version of yourself will fight to keep you in that box. Not because they're evil, not because they want to hurt you, but because your growth forces them to look at their own lack of growth. Your change becomes a mirror they don't want to look into, so they'll mock you, they'll question you, they'll try to pull you back to the person you used to be, they'll use guilt, they'll use nostalgia. They'll remind you of how fun you were, when you were less disciplined, less focused, less you. Some will simply disappear from your life because the new you doesn't fit into their old world, and that's okay. Because this war isn't about making them comfortable. It's about becoming someone you can respect when you look in the mirror. You have to understand this is not a quick battle. It's not a single moment of bravery. It's a daily grind. Every morning you wake up, you pick a side. Do you fight for who you truly are? Or do you surrender to the version of yourself that's easier to maintain but emptier to live with? The resistance will never completely disappear. You'll just get stronger, your armor will get thicker, your vision will get clearer, and eventually the voices both in your head and around you will lose their power. But until that day comes, you fight. You fight when it's hard. You fight when it's lonely. You fight when you're tired and questioning if it's worth it. Because this war, this fight for your true self, is the only battle in life that actually matters. You've been programmed, not born this way, programmed layer by layer, message by message. From the moment you were old enough to listen, people started telling you who you should be, what's normal, what's acceptable, what's realistic, and you believed them. Not because you were weak, but because when you hear something enough times, it starts to sound like truth. Society told you what success should look like. Go to school, get the safe job, buy the house. Don't rock the boat, follow the plan. They made it sound like security. They made it sound like the smart choice. But in reality, it was the first layer of chains they put on you. Then came the opinions. The weak opinions of people who gave up on themselves years ago. People who settled for less and now want you to settle too, so they don't have to feel guilty. They told you your dreams were too big. They told you your goals were unrealistic. They told you to be grateful for what you have. Not out of wisdom, but out of fear you might outgrow them. And little by little, you started shrinking yourself to fit inside their comfort zone. And then, the culture got you, comfort culture. The one that tells you the point of life is to be as comfortable as possible. Always take the easy route, avoid the hard work, distract yourself with entertainment, reward yourself for nothing. It's a culture that sells you convenience at the cost of your potential. It makes laziness look normal. It makes mediocrity look acceptable. It makes wasting your life look like fun. And the worst part, they've programmed you so well, you don't even realize you're following their script. You think you're making your own choices. But you're just repeating the choices they've been feeding you since day one. You buy what they tell you to buy. You believe what they tell you to believe. You chase what they tell you to chase. And without even noticing, you've become exactly what they wanted: predictable, dependent, and controllable. But here's the thing. Once you see the programming, you can break it. Once you recognize the lies, you can reject them. And once you understand that their normal isn't your truth, you can start building your own life on your own terms. Break the programming through discipline. That's the only way, not through wishful thinking. Not through motivation videos that hype you for 5 minutes and fade by the end of the day. Discipline, the kind that shows up whether you feel like it or not. The kind that doesn't ask for permission from your emotions. Because the programming you've been living under wasn't built in a day, and it won't disappear in a day either. It's been reinforced over years through habits, routines, and patterns you've repeated without question. And the only way to replace those patterns is with stronger ones, consistent ones, ones you choose on purpose. That's where discipline comes in. Every single day you have choices. You can choose the easy route, the comfortable route, the route you've always taken. Or you can choose the hard route, the one that challenges you, the one that demands you grow, the one that requires you to keep promises to yourself even when no one's watching. Discipline is not glamorous. It's not exciting in the moment. It's showing up to train when you're tired. It's saying no to distractions when everyone else is giving in. It's doing the work without an audience. It's making the hard decision today so you can live with pride tomorrow. And here's the thing, every time you choose discipline over comfort, you take back a piece of yourself from the programming. You prove to yourself that you're not controlled by old habits. You prove that you can act based on your values, not your moods. And over time, those consistent, disciplined actions become your new default. They become the core of who you are. That's when authenticity starts to grow, because authenticity isn't about being yourself in the moment. It's about building a self you're proud to be, and that doesn't happen by accident. It happens through repeated, intentional effort. Hard choices become your sharpening stone. Every sacrifice you make for your future self shapes your identity. Every time you show up when it's inconvenient, you're carving away the lies and the weakness, the old programming left behind. You're replacing them with strength, with focus, with integrity. Until one day you wake up and realize you're no longer pretending to be someone, you've actually become that person. And it all started with discipline. Truth over comfort, that's the rule, not sometimes. Not when it's easy, always, because honesty with yourself and with others is non-negotiable if you actually want to live as your true self. Most people don't tell the truth. They think they do, but they don't. They soften it, they bend it, they avoid it when it feels awkward, and they lie to themselves more than anyone else. They tell themselves they're working hard when they're coasting. They tell themselves they're fine when they're unhappy. They tell themselves they don't care when deep down they do. Comfort becomes the filter through which every truth is run, and the truth that makes them uncomfortable, that truth gets buried. But here's the problem, you can't build a real life on lies. Not even small ones. If you want real strength, real confidence, and real peace, you have to stop hiding from reality. You have to face it. Even when it's ugly, even when it's inconvenient, even when it makes you feel exposed. Truth is a weapon. It cuts away the illusions you've been living under. It shows you exactly where you are, no sugarcoating, no excuses, and that's not always fun to see, but it's necessary, because until you admit where you actually stand, you can't move forward. You can't fix what you won't acknowledge, and it's not just about telling the truth to yourself. It's about being real with the people around you too. That means speaking up when something matters. That means saying no when everyone else expects a yes. That means refusing to play along with lies just to keep the peace. Will it make some people uncomfortable? Absolutely. Will it cost you relationships? Probably. But here's the thing, the people who can't handle your truth are the ones who benefited from your silence. They were comfortable because you kept swallowing your voice, and once you stop doing that, they're forced to deal with reality too. Truth cleans house. It removes the wrong people. It attracts the right ones. And most importantly, it keeps you aligned with who you really are. Every time you choose truth over comfort, you strengthen your integrity. You prove to yourself that your values mean more than temporary approval. And that self-respect, that's worth more than the false peace that comes from pretending. Every choice adds or removes layers, every single one. There is no such thing as a neutral decision. Everything you do either hides your true self deeper or brings it closer to the surface. Think about it. When you choose comfort over challenge, you add a layer. When you tell a lie instead of speaking the truth, you add a layer. When you follow the crowd instead of following your conviction, you add a layer. And each layer makes it harder to see who you really are, makes it harder for you to feel connected to yourself, makes it harder for others to even recognize the real you. But when you make the opposite choice, when you pick the harder road because it's right, when you speak the truth even though it costs you, when you take action that aligns with your values instead of your fears, you peel a layer away. And every layer you peel off gets you closer to the raw, unfiltered version of yourself. The version that isn't controlled by fear. The version that isn't weighed down by fake personas. The version that lives with clarity and conviction. The thing most people don't realize is how small these choices can be. It's not always the big, dramatic decisions that define you. It's the micro moments, the times when no one's watching, the times when you could take the shortcut and get away with it, but you don't. The times when you could avoid the uncomfortable conversation, but you have it anyway. These little moments stack up. They either build a wall between you and your true self, or they tear that wall down. And here's the truth, the wall doesn't come down all at once. It's chipped away, one honest word at a time, one hard choice at a time, one act of integrity at a time. You can't expect to meet your true self without paying the price in these small moments. Because the self you want to be is hiding underneath years of decisions that weren't really yours. Years of decisions shaped by fear, approval, seeking, and habit. But the beautiful part is, you can start changing that today. With the very next choice you make, you either add a layer or you peel one away, and the more layers you remove, the lighter you feel, the clearer you see, the more you start to recognize yourself again. Until one day, you look in the mirror and you finally see the person you were always meant to be. Reject advice from quitters. That's a rule you should live by, because the world is full of people who gave up on themselves. And now they want you to do the same. They'll smile when they say it. They'll make it sound like wisdom. They'll tell you they're just looking out for you. But if you look closer, you'll see what's really going on. They're not protecting you from failure. They're protecting themselves from the discomfort of watching you succeed. Because your effort, your discipline, your growth, it reminds them of what they could have been. And that stings, so they'll wrap their fear in friendly words. Be realistic. Don't get your hopes up. Not everyone can do that. And if you're not careful, you'll swallow their poison. You'll start shrinking your dreams to fit inside their small perspective. You'll start believing limits that were never yours to begin with. You'll start living a life designed by someone who stopped trying years ago. That's why you have to be ruthless about who you take advice from. Ask yourself one question. Are they living with integrity? Do they practice what they preach? Do they live in alignment with their values even when it costs them? Do they keep promises to themselves? Do they embody the discipline, resilience, and character you want in your own life? If the answer is no, you don't take their advice. It doesn't matter if they're family. It doesn't matter if they've known you your whole life. It doesn't matter if they say it with love, because love without truth can still lead you straight into mediocrity. Instead, look for people who are living it. Not perfect people. There's no such thing but people who refuse to quit on themselves. People who have faced hard things and kept going. People who have built something worth respecting. People whose actions match their words. When you get direction from people like that, it comes from a place of experience, not fear. It comes from a place of knowing what it takes, not making excuses for why it can't be done. And here's the thing, advice is powerful. It can either push you forward or pull you under. One wrong voice in your ear can cost you years. So protect your mind, guard your circle, and make sure the people you let influence your path are the ones who have proven, by how they live, that they're worth following. Choose purpose over pleasure. Because pleasure is easy, it's everywhere, it's instant. It's the quick hit of dopamine that makes you feel good now and empty later. It's the distraction that pulls you away from what actually matters. And here's the truth: short-term comfort kills long-term identity. Every time you choose the easy high over the hard grind, you trade a piece of who you could be for a few minutes of feeling good. And those trades add up. They pile into habits, they shape your character, until one day you wake up wondering where your ambition went, where your discipline went, where you went. Pleasure in itself isn't evil. It's when pleasure becomes the driver of your life that it destroys you. Because when pleasure drives, purpose takes the back seat. Your goals get delayed, your potential gets buried, your vision gets blurred. Purpose is different. Purpose is the reason you get up early when you don't feel like it. It's the reason you say no to the easy option. It's the reason you keep showing up, even when the results aren't instant. Purpose is about building something that lasts, something you can look at years from now and be proud of. But here's the catch: purpose is rarely comfortable in the moment. It demands patience. It demands sacrifice. It demands that you pass on short-term wins for long-term fulfillment. And most people aren't willing to do that. They'll choose the party over the practice. They'll choose the couch over the workout. They'll choose the quick escape over the slow grind. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, unfulfilled, and disconnected from themselves. That's the cost of letting pleasure win. Too often, you lose the version of yourself you were meant to become. But when you flip the script and let purpose lead, everything changes. Your decisions get clearer. Your habits get stronger. Your life starts moving in a direction that actually means something. And ironically, the pleasure you do experience becomes deeper and more satisfying because it's built on accomplishment, not avoidance. Choosing purpose over pleasure is not about never enjoying life. It's about refusing to let fleeting comfort steal your future. It's about being willing to endure short-term discomfort to create a life you don't need to escape from. And every time you make that choice, you reinforce your identity as someone who stands for more than the moment. Authenticity attracts trust and opportunity because people can feel when you're real. They can feel when you're not putting on a show. They can sense when you mean what you say and when you're just saying it to fit in. And here's the truth: being real pays off in every area of life. In business, in relationships, in friendships, in leadership, authenticity is the currency that lasts. When you're real, people know where you stand. They don't have to guess what you mean. They don't have to question your motives. They don't have to wonder if you're hiding something. Your words and your actions match, and that creates trust. Trust is rare in a world where everyone's chasing an image. It's rare in a world full of filters, curated personas, and carefully crafted masks. So when people find someone who's genuinely themselves, they hold on to it. They lean in. They want to work with you. They want to follow you. They want to be around you, because authenticity isn't just refreshing, it's magnetic. It cuts through the noise, it stands out without trying, and when you're authentic, you don't have to waste energy keeping up a facade. You don't have to remember the lies you told. You don't have to switch personalities depending on who you're with. You just show up as you are every time, and here's the bonus: authenticity doesn't just attract trust, it attracts opportunity. People want to collaborate with those they trust. They want to open doors for people who are dependable. They want to invest in people who stand on something solid. Opportunities flow to those who have a reputation for being real, because they're seen as reliable, consistent, and worth betting on. And even if someone doesn't agree with you, they'll still respect you if you're genuine. They'll know you're not pretending. They'll know you're not bending with the wind just to please everyone. That kind of respect builds bridges you can't buy with fake charm or clever words. But the opposite is also true when you're fake. When you're always adapting your values to get approval, people might smile to your face, but they won't trust you. They won't bet on you. They won't hand you the real opportunities because deep down they don't know if you'll follow through. Authenticity is a long game. It might not win you instant popularity, but it will win you lasting trust, and with that trust comes doors you never imagined would open. The world needs the real you, not the watered-down version. Not the one that edits itself for approval, not the one that bends and twists just to avoid standing out. The real you, the one with edges, the one with opinions, the one with a unique voice that can't be replaced. But somewhere along the way, you started hiding that version. You started shrinking it. You started sanding down the sharp parts so you'd fit in. You started saying what people wanted to hear instead of what you actually believed. You traded authenticity for acceptance, and maybe it worked for a while. Maybe it kept you safe. Maybe it kept you liked, but it also kept you invisible. It kept you from fully stepping into the person you were meant to be. It kept you living in the shadow of your own potential. Because here's the truth, a diluted version of you will never make the impact you were designed to make. It will never inspire people the way the real you could. It will never open the doors that only open for those bold enough to stand as themselves. And it will never give you the deep satisfaction that comes from living in alignment with your truth. The world doesn't need another copy of what's already out there. It doesn't need more people playing it safe. It doesn't need more voices repeating the same approved lines. It needs someone willing to show up without the mask. It needs someone willing to be disliked for the right reasons. It needs someone willing to risk judgment in exchange for making a real difference. And that someone is you, the version of you that isn't constantly calculating how to be liked. The version that refuses to dilute itself to make others comfortable. The version that would rather stand alone in truth than stand in a crowd built on lies. Because the irony is, the more you chase approval, the less of it you actually get. People can sense when you're not being real. They might nod along, but deep down they won't follow you. They won't trust you. They won't be moved by you, but when you stand as your full, unfiltered self, something shifts. You give others permission to do the same. You show them what it looks like to live without apology, and you attract the people, the opportunities, and the respect that only come to those who are willing to be the real thing. So stop hiding, stop watering yourself down. Stop chasing the kind of approval that costs you your own identity. You have one life, and it's not meant to be lived as a second-rate version of someone else. Show up as you are, own your truth, stand in it, no matter who stays and who leaves. Because the world doesn't just want the real you. It needs the real you, and it's been waiting long enough.